Hey, what's up guys? I'm Jack from You Got Me Cooked Up.
And this is Phil from Aspire Fitness. So today we're going to be cooking one of the basics of Asian foods, which is going to be teriyaki chicken. We're going to make a little twist on it to make it healthy and affordable for our prep.
And so basically we're going to break it down into 3 simple steps so everyone at home can follow along. It's going to be healthy, it's going to be simple, and most of all, it's not going to break your bank.
Let's get started, guys.
Alrighty guys, so the ingredient list will be down in the description below, so make sure you get everything before you start this recipe. So step 1 out of 3 guys is to prep the food. This is going to save you so much time in the end, and it's definitely a skill that you want to get down when you meal prep. So the first thing that we're going to be prepping is definitely the chicken breast. What Jack is doing here is getting the knife and he's going to cut it in half. Chicken breast as itself tends to come really thick and uneven, so therefore it tends to overcook. You're going to want to cut it into a 1/2-inch slice, just like Jack is holding right there. What tends to happen if you don't do this step is that the exterior gets really overcooked while the interior stays undercooked. So in order to combat that, you need to cut it in half to get this even cook time on the surface and aim for about a 1/2 inch thickness in the breast. The next step that we're going to be doing here is we're going to be scoring the chicken. You want to aim for a checkered pattern here because we want that marinade to seep inside the chicken, not just on the exterior. Our knife was a little dull when we did this, so this is kind of a bad example, but we fixed it in the end, guys. Speaking of marinades guys, it's time to make our own teriyaki solution. It's going to act as a brine, which means that it's going to tenderize our chicken for as long as it's in there. It's also where all the flavor is going to be coming from, so this step is really important. Ingredients are pretty simple. It's going to be 1 cup of soy sauce, 4 heads of garlic, we use dry garlic. We're going to have 1 whole peeled ginger, around 3 tablespoons of sesame oil, 1 whole cup of sweet Thai chili, and 4 tablespoons of honey. Just pour it all in. The order doesn't really matter, just make sure it's all mixed in before you put the chicken in. And when you put the chicken in, you want to put it in for 1 hour minimum, up to 24 hours. The longer you put it in, the better it'll be. Now it's time for my favorite part of meal prepping, which is going to be the vegetables. So when I get a piece of broccoli like this, I like to just turn it on its head and cut around the stem with my knife. A lot of people like to use a knife on this part, but I'd rather just use my hands and kind of manipulate the pieces to whichever I want. Sometimes I want it smaller, sometimes I want it bigger. This is just my preferred method. So we're going to pour around 3 tablespoons of sesame oil into the broccoli. We didn't film it, but we salt and peppered it as well. Also, we're going to place a head of garlic on the side of the tray so we can roast it. So we're going to bake that at 450 degrees Fahrenheit or 230 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes. Once everything is roasted, you're going to take out the garlic individually and it should be nice and mushy right now. This is going to act as the base for our sauce, so make sure you mush it up really well. So just add that into the bowl and enjoy the smell of roasted garlic. Just roll the lemon and kind of put some pressure on it. That way when you cut it in half, all the juices are going to come out. Just take half the lemon, squeeze it into that roasted garlic and let it sit. So the camera is too zoomed in on this, but that's honey that we're pouring in there. You want to put around 4 tablespoons of honey for this. So just mix it in all together and let those flavors combine. You're just going to add the broccoli in now and it's going to smell so amazing at this point. So once everything's poured in, just kind of mix it in with the fork. It's going to be a little difficult right now because the garlic is more like a paste rather than a sauce, but just take some time and incorporate it. There you go guys, you get this really nice garlicky, honey, acidic broccoli. It's amazing. So next up is the rice. We used around 4 cups, but we actually needed 8 cups for this recipe, so just make sure you double this up. So this next step is pretty crucial. We want to wash the rice because it gets rid of that starch layer. And what that starch layer does is it causes the rice to get really gummy and kind of wet. If you know what that feels like, it's pretty gross. So if you want some nice fluffy rice, make sure you do this step and really take care of the rice by washing it 2 or 3 times. So we put around 5 slices of ginger into this, and then next we're going to add around 2 heads of garlic. This is going to scent the rice and it's going to be really amazing. So step 2 out of 3 guys, we're going to cook the food now. We're going to show you some tips and tricks that we use on our meal prep that you guys can implement yourselves. So we're going to use around 2 tablespoons of canola oil. It's a high heat cooking oil, so make sure you guys use something like that. When you use something like olive oil, it's going to kind of burn, and when you burn oil, it's going to make some bad chemicals that go into your body. It's not really good to cook with, so make sure you use a high smoke point oil. So just lie that chicken away from you, as Gordon Ramsay would say, because I learned everything from Gordon Ramsay. Just put as many as you can on the pan. We just did 2 to demonstrate. So So you're gonna end up seeing this little white layer that forms after like a minute of cooking, and that's when you want to flip the chicken. So this is probably our favorite clip that we got. I'm just cutting the chicken right now, but it kind of demonstrates what happens when you marinate the chicken. We actually only marinated ours for 3 hours because we were kind of crunched on time, but look at what happens when I squeeze it right here. It's like, oh my god, all those juices come out, and this is what you get when you really make sure to take care of your marinade and to put the chicken in there for a long time. So this is the point in time where we were plating our food and we realized we don't have enough white rice. So we're going to show you another method where we cook the rice in a pot. This is a method that every Asian parent is probably taught to their kids. You want to fill the water up to that mark which I just pointed at, which is like the first crevice of your finger. It's about 1/2 inch, and that's the mark you want to fill the water to when you cook the rice. Shout out to Quang Tran for popularizing this method, and it's honestly foolproof, guys. You can't go wrong with it. So what you want to do first is bring that water to a boil. It's going to take around 5 to 10 minutes, and right when you see those bubbles, that's when you want to put a lid on top of the rice. So make sure you put the temperature down to low, and as soon as you do that, make sure you get your timer out and get it for 15 minutes. You want to make sure that you don't lift the lid in this whole entire process. You don't want that steam to escape and not cook the rice. So once you finish this whole process, you get this nice fluffy rice. We did wash this rice as well, we just didn't film it, so make sure you do that process as well. Alrighty guys, so last step here, we're going to be plating the food. We're going to show you guys what kind of portions you should be aiming for with the rice, the vegetables, and the protein. So what Jack is doing on the left side is putting in around 150 grams of white rice into that bowl. He did put a little extra, which is why you should use a food scale as a reference for the very first one you plate, so you can just copy it for the others. For me, on the other hand, I think I put around 4 ounces of chicken breast, which is more than enough protein. So just get that bowl and drop it in, and it gives you this really nice kind of circular shape. It doesn't really do anything, but it looks pretty. And what I ended up adding was around 150 grams of broccoli, and that's going to be enough for your fibers. And there you go, you get this really nice meal. Just rinse and repeat for 15 other meals and you guys are good to go. So a tip here would just be to kind of delegate the roles. For example, what Jack was doing was the carbs, which is the white rice and the broccoli, and what I was doing was the proteins. So if you have a partner, it'll make this a lot quicker and a lot more enjoyable.
Alright guys, 16 meals for the week. Now we're going to break down the prices of each individual meal for you.
Alright, so we spent a total of $23.72 on everything that you see here, meaning that each meal costs us only $1.48. And to me, that's an amazing price. So not only are these meals super nutritious, they're super cheap, guys, and a lot of work does go into this, but for $1.50 a meal, I think it's pretty worth it.
Yeah, and we'll be leaving the nutrition information here on the screen and also in the descriptions down below.
Feel free to subscribe, guys. Let us know how you guys like the meals, and see you guys in the next video.
Peace.